What happened when you married a man with a dead first wife? My husband demanded I become his dead first wife Rebecca in every possible way, from wearing clothes to using her name as my own. My husband had hidden his obsession with Rebecca until after our wedding. During our courtship, he'd mentioned losing his first wife in an accident, but seemed healthily grieved. He was charming, stable, and eager to start fresh with someone new. He'd take me to restaurants and movies, never to his house which he claimed was being renovated. It wasn't until our wedding night when he brought me home that I discovered we'd be living in the house he'd shared with Rebecca, perfectly preserved like she'd just stepped out. All her things were exactly where she'd left them. There were pictures of her everywhere I looked. The next day, he explained that he'd only married me because I had similar bone structure to her. He said, "You're going to become her, starting now, because I can't live without my Rebecca anymore." He'd already thrown away all my belongings while I slept and replaced them with hers. He handed me a detailed manual he'd created with her daily routines and mannerisms. I had no car, no phone, and no way out. My husband forced me to erase myself completely and become Rebecca. He monitored my every move and even installed cameras throughout the house to ensure I stayed in character. He'd quiz me on her memories, making me recite stories from her childhood until I could tell them naturally. He forced me to practice her laugh for hours, slapping my face when I got it wrong, saying, "Rebecca's joy sounded like bells," not whatever that noise was. I had to maintain her exact weight, wear her clothes despite them not fitting, and cook only her favorite foods. And of course I was forbidden to leave the house or interact with anyone, because everyone knew that the real Rebecca had died. Everyone except for Rebecca's childhood friend Ellen, who lived off the grid overseas. My husband talked about her constantly, saying once I could fool her, my transformation would be complete. He seemed to believe that if he could fool her, he'd somehow be able to convince everyone else that Rebecca had never really died, and I was her. Every day it became clearer how psychotically obsessed with Rebecca he was. If I said or did anything that he didn't think matched what Rebecca would have done, his vengeance was swift and violent. I was a prisoner. The scariest part was finding bloodstains on some of Rebecca's clothes that he insisted were from her accident, but his stories never lined up. He would have episodes where he'd grab me and cry, apologizing for something he wouldn't name, begging Rebecca to forgive him. I started planning my escape, but he'd hidden my ID, drained my accounts, and monitored my every move, but I knew I had to find a way. One night I broke into the locked basement searching for my hidden documents. The smell hit me first, then I saw her. Rebecca's body was wrapped in plastic sheeting, preserved by the cold, her face still showing the terror of her final moments. The head trauma was obvious. I vomited before stumbling upstairs where my husband was waiting. He knew immediately what I'd found. His face crumpled and he started sobbing. "She was going to leave me, don't you understand? She said she didn't want to be my Rebecca anymore. She wanted to be herself." He grabbed my shoulders, shaking me violently. "But you're better. You actually want to be her. You want to be my Rebecca, right?" I shoved him away and screamed that I would never be Rebecca, and now I knew why. He lunged at me, but I ran to the bedroom and barricaded the door. My husband spiraled into madness, determined to keep Rebecca alive through me. Through the door, I heard him schedule Ellen's visit, shouting that if I failed to convince her, he'd have to put me with Rebecca and find another. He slid photos under the door of other women who looked like her, saying he was already choosing my replacement. For days, he'd alternate between sobbing apologies and violent threats, telling me exactly how he'd killed Rebecca and how much easier it would be the second time. He stopped bringing food, saying Rebecca didn't need to eat anymore if she was already dead. When I grew weak from hunger, he broke down the door and drugged me, dressing me in Rebecca's favorite outfit for Ellen's arrival. He whispered that after Ellen left, he and Rebecca could finally be together forever. Ellen showed up expecting a lovely visit with the friend she hadn't seen in years. My husband watched proudly as I served tea, perfectly mimicking her mannerisms despite the drugs. But when he stepped into the kitchen, I grabbed Ellen's hand and whispered, "I'm not Rebecca. Her body is in the basement. You have to believe me." She went pale and